The federal government will not provide a subsidy for Hajj next year. This means pilgrims will face a significant cost increase. Without the concessionary exchange rate previously offered, the cost of Hajj is projected to soar as high as 10 million naira per pilgrim, assuming the naira remains at its current rate of 1,650 naira per dollar. The National Hajj Commission's decision to end the subsidy primarily impacts the Central Bank of Nigeria's dollar exchange rate, which previously enabled pilgrims to pay a reduced rate. Now let's bring in the Secretary, Independent Hajj Reporters and editor of 21st Century Chronicle, Nurudeen Abdallah. Good to see you and thanks for your time. You know, when it comes to this, first let's talk about the economic situation that warranted this hike. That's the first time in Nigeria we're getting to see. Time was when those who paid as much as 10 million naira were those who went through some foreign Hajj operators. But now you say in the list that an average, maybe a farmer or anyone in your community is 10 million naira.
Yes, it's a hard fact that Nigerian intended pilgrims have to pay this much to participate in next year's Hajj. This is because almost 95% of the Hajj fare has a dollar component. Maybe the remaining one, maybe the bags, the uniform, maybe some service charge. And you know what happened to our currency. If you take, for instance, from in the last 16 years, 2009 to date, the dollar officially at that time was about 135. The Hajj fare of that time, the dollar component was about 3,400. And Nigerian pilgrims paid 470,000 naira. Going forward, and now they are paying, if the dollar, let's say, stays static, 165 like you mentioned, it's about 10 million. If it goes up. And in the last 16 years, let's say, they had a BT of about 800. That's the minimum. But now the BT is $400. We don't know what will happen this time around. So it also revolves around the dollar. There is no significant increase. At that time, the entire component was $3,400. Now it's about $6,000, with significant increase in the services rendered. The accommodations in Medina, the accommodations in Mecca, the type of tent we occupy in Mashair, that is Mina, Arafah, Muzdalifah, Mina, and back to Mecca. They have been improved tremendously. So if you look at the dollar component, there is not much increase, but it's our currency.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. And of course, you do understand that there's a lot of burden on the naira, with plans by the federal government to free up as much dollars as it can. Let's talk about other issues relating to Hajj generally, or even pilgrimage in Nigeria. I wonder how you react to those who are saying that federal government has absolutely no business sponsoring pilgrimage, whether it be Muslim or Christian pilgrimage. What are your thoughts on that, and how would-be pilgrims actually receiving this?
Yes, and that has equally been drastically reduced compared to what obtained in the past. I remember, I think until...
When you say it's drastically reduced, what
like
exactly
the sponsorship.
Is the sponsorship? Okay.
State governments that cannot pay salaries, backlog of pension and gratuities, we are sponsoring about 1,000 or 2 to Hajj. They call it GS, government sponsored. At the federal level, you remember, until 2015, I remember President Jonathan has a permanent Amiral Hajj, who is the Sultan. Just like for the Christian pilgrimage, we have the then Khan president. But when Buhari came in 2015, he canceled that. And I remember they saved about, according to a statement by then Garba Shehu, almost $100 million naira, and some thousands of dollars was saved for that contingent. Prominent Nigerian senators, ministers and traditional rulers. But more importantly, sponsorship of pilgrims. I think most states, I can say, maybe minus a few ones, the major ones have stopped. Maybe some pockets of, even the federal government, until last year, when, for instance, and it raised eyebrows, when the then chairman of NACON said that he sponsored 153 ulamas, clerics, just for Hajj. You understand?
So it's a desirable development that government takes or hands off, sponsoring
Apparently, the Hajj ecosystem can survive on its own if we put the right things at the right place, if you appoint the right managers, not politicians. You look at a situation where you brought people with zero antecedents in the Hajj. And unlike what most Nigerians think, Hajj is not sitting in Abuja. It's not going to London. More than 70% of people that go to Hajj year in, year out are from the remote villages. Traders, farmers, herders, and what have you. They have never been to the headquarters of their local governments.
And they save up for all of that, and they have so many other kinds of savings. Before we let you go, is it too much of asking that these ulamas and those who know, the learned ones, start to remind people that in the pillars of Islam, that's the only pillar that is not obligatory. You're not, how do politicians say it? It's not a do or die affair. So I think Allah saw what people go through on Hajj, and that is why he says you need to not kill yourself over it. So because it looks like if people still talk about sponsorship, good thing you're not asking for that, you're talking about subsidizing it. It brings the deen in a bad light.
Apparently, when Buhari cancelled the Amir al-Hajj team, for instance, that guzzled hundreds of millions, the stakeholders in the system were happy, even though the big guys were not happy, for instance. But in this case, there is a way out.
Yeah, tell us.
But it takes the leadership, particularly the National Hajj Commission, which is the apex regulatory agency for Hajj. Let them look inward. I remember from 2009 up to last year, or this year, the Hajj was performed, we need to cut down the dollar component. We achieved that in 2017. The dollar was about 500 in 2016. But when we came to 2017, because of the exchange rate fluctuation, almost about $400 was slashed from the Hajj dollar component, which brought down the amount we paid. So we need to do that.
All right.
In the last couple of years, for instance, there are some percentages that were added to the Hajj dollar or something. Some service providers were being charged by the commission. Let them remove that. And more importantly, it is only Nigeria that if you are going to Hajj, less than 4 or 5 months to the time, you don't even know where you're going. In other countries, particularly the 10 biggest Hajj countries, Iran, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and what have you plan for you register 5 years.
Ahead.
7
wow.
years.
And that is why we need experts like yourselves to come in and help us streamline that. And I'm happy that you just told us what can be done. We'd like to thank you for your time. We'll stay on this and see how we can have a better Hajj operations here in Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.